password.
Oh no. Okay, I'll take a picture of it for you. Sorry guys, just a second.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, everyone. You call us on call. We're just back from dinner. Wine and beer have been consumed. But Alex needs my password. I thought you had it. Doesn't your stupid computer save it?
It does, but not this one, because that was a different one. Thank you, kind sir.
It's a horrible, nasty password.
It is.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another live stream with Alex, also known as Housing Stig. Which
Hello, everyone.
You guys kindly christened him. And me, Charlie Lambden. And this evening, we have just got back from the pub. We've had a very nice, relaxed, early evening supper.
It was delicious.
This is Alex's. He's into his second bottle, whereas I'm being much more abstemious. And this evening, we're just going to have... It's not going to be a data-backed conversation. It's just going to be a...
Mostly because I've been dealing with the NHS for the last 10 days and haven't looked at any data.
Well, there's that. And also, trust me, bro, basically. Okay. So also, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Robert Smith. Yes, it has been a while. James Sky, Rebecca Lloyd, Anita Devlin, Ricky Heath. Hi there. Amy Brunel. E. Gold. That's a new name. I don't recognize that. No, I am not House Price Crash Forum. That's not me. Can I just remind everyone, I've never said there's going to be a house price crash. I've said I'm expecting prices to slide over 3 years. And a slide is not a crash. Whether or not there's going to be a stock market crash, we'll discuss. Timothy Wilson, happy 2024. Greg Robson, hi there. Mega Jewel for currency. I wonder if Spill Fencer is watching this. Jam says, price crashing in London. Happy New Year. Richard Longmere, hi there. Leo Lees, hi there. Amy Brunel, Mick, Alistair. Good evening, guys. This year, I am promising to do a lot less house price punditry. It's exhausting. It goes round and round in circles, and I'm not sure how helpful it actually is for people moving house. I'm not saying we're going to stop altogether, but rather than doing it all the time, every time that any piece of data comes out about the housing market, I'm going to be taking it down to probably once a month, a sort of monthly market economic outlook. I think that's a bit healthier and a little bit less exhausting, and will also allow me more time to actually provide you, the movers, with moving advice that you may want. But that's not what this evening is about. This evening is about putting the world to rights, talking about the way things... No, I'm joking.
I'm so pleased.
The way things used to be back in the day.
God.
No, we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be doing that.
We're so old.
But we do welcome your questions. First question there, bond market crash, question mark. Robert Jones, hi, the Urban Achiever. Is the problem that owning a home is overrated? We don't go there. And monthly news debunk, yes, please, says Ian. Just chat and waffle, guys. That's something we can do.
Oh, yeah. No problem at all. Although T. Sam is quite right. Good luck sticking to that when you see key data coming out. Yeah. He knows I can't resist. Cannot resist.
Yes.
Oh,
yep,
numbers.
So, here's a question that I haven't asked you off camera.
You're going to stitch me up in the first 5 minutes, aren't you?
No, because there's no right or wrong answer to this question.
Okay.
Do you reckon, as far as people, i.e. workers, and businesses, i.e. small to medium businesses, not corporations, are concerned, in fact, corporations, do you reckon that, ignoring official definitions, we're in recession or not?
Yeah. Nah.
Not talking about technical definition.
Right.
Okay, let me rephrase the question.
Let's rephrase it.
I'll rephrase
so we
the
say, are we in growth or currently in decline across the board in terms of industry, people's ability to spend? Yes, 100%. Without a doubt, inflation over the last 18 months has eaten in. I know wages have risen remarkably, more so certainly than I thought. But I see all the time companies cutting back. Now, you could argue that's because I'm working in the construction sector at the moment, but I would say, yeah, but I'm working in the life science sector, which has, that's going to be the great savior of the United Kingdom. Life science, we're the world leader. And yet you look and companies are desperately cutting back. The actual builders are being laid off. At the moment, the MEP guys, the people who look after all of the air conditioning, the electrical, the plumbing, all of the facilities for buildings are overrun with work because people are trying to meet ESG targets. There's sustainability, and so these guys.
Am I allowed to do this?
Yeah, as long as you don't swallow. So
ESG.
Oh God!
I mean, what a load of old wank.
But even the Americans, who sort of where the craze came from, are now their hedge funds were saying, well, we won't invest in companies unless they can show their ESG credentials. Unless we. Do
you remember CSR?
CSR. Too many acronyms.
CSR was the ESG of 20 years ago. Do you remember what it stood for?
No, go on.
Corporate social responsibility.
Oh God, yes.
And there were CSR departments. I can remember thinking to myself back then in my 30s, thinking to myself, why would you need a corporate social responsibility department if you weren't?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, so sorry. Yeah. American corporations and ESG.
They are now backing away massively because they've realized that they're just not making any money. And hedge funds at the end of the day really want to make some cash.
Yes, they do. They do. Okay, next question. Okay, so first of all, thank you. I agree. Every single day, I'm seeing more signs, not only online and being reported anecdotally and in the news, but also wherever I go, wherever I look, I am seeing more and more and more signs of deep recession.
Yes.
And I don't care what the GDP official figures say, because I am not aware of anyone who's going, oh, we're killing it at the moment.
I'm really feeling, do you know what? I'm going to take a 3-week holiday to the Maldives at Easter because I've just done so well in the last 9 months. I reckon I deserve it. I'll probably charter a boat while I'm out there. Nobody is saying that. In 2000, I used to know people who said stuff like that.
But no one's saying it.
One of them was me.
Yeah. And so, guys, most of you probably, if you've been watching the channel for a while, will remember Alex's video that we recorded, which was him reading out a piece he wrote. When did you write it? 2021?
Oh, Jesus. No,
and
I wrote it.
Welcome to 2025.
I wrote it in 22. I wrote it in September of 22, I think.
Right. The synopsis being, if I remember rightly, this is my recollection, the synopsis of your Welcome to 2025 piece is people who've done really quite well for themselves.
Yeah.
Really, on any measure, doing really quite well for themselves, are about to get eviscerated. They're not going to see it coming, and they're not going to know what's hit them when it has.
Yeah, this was a couple that were earning between them 170k a year.
So guys, if you haven't seen this, just go and look up on my channel a video called Welcome to 2025.
Yes. So they were earning 170k a year, and because they were in their early 30s, wanting to start a family, they had decided they needed to move out of their respective flats, pool their money, and buy a place. So they had a big deposit. They already had 125,000, but a flat, which they could bring up a couple of children in, was going to be 750k. And the mortgage rate, I was pretty much spot on. And the incomes, and what I hadn't factored in was the additional taxes, or I should say the tax band freezing, the fiscal drag,
which has made it worse.
Yeah, but what it meant was they were going to end up spending less money in the economy, which was going to lead us into a full-on recession in 24. And by 25, they ended up having the house repossessed. Now, there have been lots of measures that have happened in between, such as banks extending mortgage terms for 30, 35, even 40 years. The government saying that banks must be lenient and allow people to move to interest only. And so there are a number of things that might impact the repossession. But the rest of it still holds, I think, fairly true. I say, watch the vid, see what you think.
So I've heard just today, I've just been almost subconsciously aware in my peripherals of a lot of people saying a huge number of stuff going to auction suddenly, like a big spike in properties going to auction.
Okay, but that would only happen
repossessions and
death.
Yeah. So I mean, Rightmove themselves reported a record number of new listings.
Okay.
After Christmas and in January, and a lot of people. There was also reported a very, very high number of fall throughs in November and December.
Yeah.
There was this, and it still. I don't know if it's been fully resolved yet. There was a cyber breach. A lot of large conveyancing companies got
Oh
hit
yes, I saw that. I did see that.
because they use fucking Citrix.
Yep.
Why does Citrix even exist? I'm talking to a network engineer. Citrix has no right existing.
That's not true. Citrix is a fantastic
There's
platform.
no need for it.
Well, there is.
No, there really isn't.
There is.
There's no valid economic argument for Citrix. It's one of the things that brought down the country's biggest estate agent countrywide.
There is a reason for Citrix. It's very simple. If you are an old company and you had your own server rooms in your offices, or you co-located in data centers, and you wanted to move to a more centralized way of computing, bear in mind this is before the cloud. You wanted to move to...
No, it fucking isn't. No, it is not before the cloud.
What I'm telling you is
okay,
these are companies that existed before the cloud.
Yes.
So they moved them into Citrix. And what that allowed them to do was then you basically have dumb terminals.
VPN, basically, wasn't it?
Well, no, it's not VPN. What you're doing is you're turning your computer... When you have client-server technology, the speed of your computer is important. Yeah. If you're using an application through Citrix, the speed of your computer is irrelevant. Okay. So you don't need to update your desktop state.
I understand, right.
But then VMware came along, and VMware allowed you to virtualize everything anyway. And then with things like Azure and Google and Amazon Web Services, the argument for Citrix started to diminish. But
15 years ago.
But there are still applications that are not compatible with cloud-based standards, and companies look at these. Look at the banks. Okay. Banks are a classic example of companies that are running software that is 40 to 50 years old, simply because they cannot. Right. It's too dangerous to convert.
I call that corporate negligence.
I agree.
Right. And so that's my point.
What do you think I did for 25 years?
So anyone who has a business using Citrix, you fucking deserve it, frankly, for still being on that old shit tech. There's been no excuse for Citrix for 15 years. Anyway,
as a new company, agree.
Sorry. Slightly sidetracked there on that rant, but I have personal beef about Citrix. But also, anyone who was a shareholder in Countrywide PLC before it went under and failed should also have a beef with Citrix. Never mind. That's not what this is about. Key data on jobs coming out, says Patricia T. And bad. Yes. So there have been every single day, there's been a drip, drip, drip of bad jobs news, hasn't there? This morning we had Hospitality UK saying it's been the worst start to a year for over 25 years, and it's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. We
had Hayes Recruitment saying
profit warnings.
Oh,
December recruitment dead.
Yeah, because demand for staff is falling.
Chris has said, JD, banks in America are in massive trouble and will spread to UK regardless of what Charlie and Stig say. By the way, Chris, I've said right from the outset that the small banks, federal banks in the US, are absolutely in serious trouble. As to how much that will spread in the UK, I can't see bank collapses in the UK. But in the US, absolutely.
Yes, he is on the wine.
He's always on the wine. Greg, you're wrong. The wine, it runs through the veins, but that's because there's no blood left. It's just wine.
Jaime says, do you think it's a recession or a depression? It's not a depression yet.
No, but it will be.
It could. Well, hey, it's our bet. It's time for our bet. It's January. When do we get the figures?
No, not February. We don't get the figures until December. For us to know where wages were.
How confident are you feeling?
I think it's going to be close. It's going to be close either way.
That's not what I asked you, though.
Oh, and in which case, always confident. I've got a bottle of wine in front of me.
Craptacular82, great name, by the way, says, I work in construction and the job market is pretty bad right now. Yeah. By the way, guys, our humor in this, we are not laughing at anyone's misfortune. This is what we call gallows humor about what is actually a very depressing situation as far as the economy is concerned. I'm just flagging a few questions to go through here. Barclays laying off 5,000, of which a quarter is UK. Yes. Wow. Okay. There's some fascinating comments coming through here. Robert Jones says, I laughed when I saw the Scottish builders go bust. Well, I think that's a little bit insensitive. But you're right about this. I thought there was a housing shortage. You're right. The demand that's being spoken about, I think, has been overstated.
Well, especially for new builds. New builds have fallen off a cliff in terms of demand. It's why they're not building any.
That's why so many new builds. I mean, I live in a new build in Devon on a new build, and it's a local and independent company. And I think they're an intelligent, forward-thinking company, because they are the things that they've done with the properties that they've got there and the building they're keeping on doing suggests to me this is a company that's been through ups and downs before.
But aren't most of the people living there people who work for the company?
No, not most of them.
Okay.
Some of them.
Okay, so that was a while. That was when they first opened.
But I think they've been pretty wise about what they're doing, and it's just nice to see they clearly employ everybody. They're not contractors. It looks to me that they are actually all employees of the company.
Yeah.
And therefore, in the local community, it is a major net contributor.
No,
to
absolutely.
The community.
Well, that's the way I think building firms should be run, rather than all subcontracting. That's what causes half the grief. It turns it into a legal battle rather than, people who are proud of the work they're doing.
William Rendell says, bricklayer in southwest England, most sites on stop. Very little work around anywhere. Been flat out for years to nothing out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that. That's horrendous, mate.
Bad news. Now, okay, so I've got a couple of questions I want to go through here. So the first question is for Jim. Hi, Jim. Welcome back. Jimmy Davis, Happy New Year. If the government brought back Help to Buy, would you change your house fall expectation? So, number one, it would depend on exactly what. So if they brought back exactly what they had before, which is a 20% loan or a 40% loan in London, yes, that would affect my house price fall expectation, but not immediately. It would take a while to feed through.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't change what's happening in the next 12 months, but beyond that it would. So it would probably make my 2025 expectations change. It wouldn't change much for 2024, I don't think. Okay, so that's my question. But first of all, they muttered about bringing back some form of Help to Buy. There was one of those Tory
I told you, we should have
over
another
Christmas.
bet. I've still got my pin in a Myra scheme.
Yeah, well, let's come on to that.
I mean, Help to Buy. I mean, it was like the stamp duty holiday,
Yeah.
which just when everything went insane in 21 because of that stamp duty holiday. It was going back to 89 again. It was that same thing where Myris was going to be reduced from 60,000 to 30,000, and they just had this record number of buyers. Same sort of thing happened in 21. Entirely a stupid policy. I think Help to Buy would frighten them about that because they could create the same scenario, whereas Myris would alleviate some of that massive purchasing.
Yeah, the problem with Help to Buy, and tell me if you disagree, the problem with Help to Buy is it is very much artificial stimulus, right? It is therefore unsustainable, and it also worsens affordability for those who aren't available to get housing Help to Buy at the beginning. Okay, so it is very much a short-term hit. Like, just one more hit, man. Just give me just give me one more Help to Buy, please, just one more. No, I don't need any more after that. Just one more, just one last hit, please. That is what Help to Buy is. Be under no illusion, right? It is a temporary intervention. It means that the market is not a free market.
No,
right? It is a manipulated and intervened market. And whilst the beneficiaries of Help to Buy, as in the people who actually apply for it and get the loan, all that's happening is you are being lent the money to overpay for something that wouldn't be worth that much without that intervention.
Yeah, exactly.
And is that what you want? Because that's what will happen.
Yeah, and exactly as Urban Achiever says, it's a shockingly bad and short-term fix. It is a terrible intervention. It's like treating a patient with cancer with something that is so toxic that yes, it kills the cancer, but it also kills them.
Yeah.
It's just a ridiculous thing.
Honestly, guys, Help to Buy is a bad thing. And I actually saw Kate Faulkner, who is a respected housing commentator, being interviewed on LBC Radio, I think it was the other day, saying that she hopes they bring back Help to Buy. And it just made me think, how many people who work in the property industry have been brainwashed
that it's
that
a
this is
good
a
idea.
good thing? And she said, well, it's good because it made them build more houses.
For God's sake.
Well, hang on, what's the answer to that? Because it's true. It did make them build more houses.
Well, yes.
But did that solve the house? It didn't.
Of course it didn't. House prices still went through the roof. Can I answer E Gold? Because he's been.
One second, let me come on to him. Before I've got him in my list. I've got that person in my list. Greasy Slick 1975. He sounds like he's almost of our vintage.
Yes.
Says, can the government afford to bring back HTB? Good question.
No.
Good
No.
question.
And people say, well, they can't afford Myrus either. It's like, well, yes, Myrus is something that you are not collecting, which is easier than actually outlaying capital effectively with Help to Buy. None of these things are good.
Next one I wanted to have. So JD on YouTube says, are the banks in trouble? Why are they cutting interest rates before the BOE? I'd like to answer that first.
Yeah, go on.
If you think all companies that sell stuff, whatever it is, imagine that they're selling a thing, right? A widget, right? They're selling these, and they have to keep on selling the same volume of these every year or more, otherwise people lose their jobs. Banks sell mortgages, and in the last year, the number of mortgages that were sold was down 20% or more.
Correct.
Down 25%, right? And so this means that the widget, they've sold 25% fewer widgets. That is bad for them. They've got people employed to just sell these widgets, and they can't cover those salaries if they're not selling these widgets, because selling these widgets, in this case is a bag of money to buy a house, is how they earn their money.
Yep.
A lot of people misunderstand that banks are, we're lucky if we should feel lucky if the bank lends us money. Thank you, bank, for lending us money.
They're fucking lucky that we borrowed
Right,
it.
exactly. And so what the banks are doing now is going, well, bloody hell, what can we do to make our widgets more competitive and more attractive than our competitors' widgets?
Yeah.
We better lower the price. So all you are seeing is very simply a price war, because these banks have got billions of pounds to lend, and if they don't lend they lose money.
And that is the misnomer. Billions of pounds to lend makes it sound like they have a pile of money that they are lending.
Let me rephrase it then. They've got overheads to meet.
Correct.
Through selling those mortgages.
Because they are creating money every time they lend it. This is not money they have.
Unless it's Russian money. In which case is real money.
Sergey, what do you say to me?
It's real money they need to lend. Because until they lend it, it's dirty money. We need to clean money. We lend it to British buyers. And
I must be honest, after 2 bottles of wine, I like the dirty money. I mean, look, they are creating money out of thin air.
Yeah.
Yes, there are reserve ratios that have to be met, which means they have to hold a certain amount of cash, and they also have to lend certain ratios towards less risky assets in order to be able to fleece you over the mortgage rate.
Yeah.
But the reality is that in terms of the SONIA swaps, the rate that they are actually having to pay on money that is held overnight means that they can have a price war and still, in the long term, make a profit. And banks don't think over a year or 2 years. They have been around a long time. They are thinking over decades. And over decades, they're still going to get you. If they sell you a 40-year mortgage at 4% now, they reckon the odds are ever in their favor.
One way or another.
We're going to find you.
We're going to get you. Yeah, exactly. E Gold says, Stig, when are you expecting the FTSE to crash?
When is hard. And by the way, I did in one stupid tweet, whilst very, very drunk and very, very angry, put 4,000. But actually, my calculations were the bottom and bear in mind this was the worst case, I did say it on the tweet, would be 4,500, which, let's face it, is a long way down from where it is now. But that was what I thought was a true valuation of companies, having looked at their tangible and intangible assets, what liquidity they actually had. And I went through the whole of the FTSE 100. Actually, I went through the 250. And over 20% of those companies, as far as I could work out by their cash and balance sheets, were zombies. 1/5 of the 250. So
20% of the 250 is zombies.
What appear to be from the public accounts, from what you can see.
Zombies never die.
No,
that's the problem.
I know, but this is the time. Now is the day.
They need to die. Okay. Do we have any? Can we have some silly questions, please? Let's have some silly questions. Fun to have some silly questions. But now the next question is. Okay, this is a worthwhile question. Is reduced classed as a new listing on Rightmove? No. I noticed on Boxing Day, all the estate agents seem to have saved all their upcoming reductions and new listings for this day, mostly reductions. Yes, there is this, I mean, talk about sheep mentality, the Boxing Day bounce. Okay, all that happens on Boxing Day is people they've just spent 48 hours with their family thinking, fuck me, I need to live somewhere else.
I've got
really
to go.
Urgently.
I've
got to find somewhere else to live. It is the highest viewing traffic on Rightmove, but probably the lowest number of actual valuable inquiries.
Yes.
But Rightmove have turned this little bit of news into, therefore it's the day you should list your new property.
No, because nobody actually buys.
Terrible idea.
Because everyone's broke.
If you needed to actually sell, you should not wait to be part of the huge rush that's come to sell.
Mate,
imagine
if it was true, then surely, given a 3-month window, we would see that March was the best time, the highest peak of buying.
Yeah.
It's not.
So what I think's happened is that there were a lot of fall throughs before Christmas in November and December from deals that had been agreed in the summer. A lot of nervous buyers backing out. There were also a lot of new deals agreed in December. But Rightmove has a rule, which is that you are not allowed to list a fallen through property as a new listing unless it's been at least either 7 or 14 weeks.
When did they bring that in?
It's always been there.
Oh, okay.
But I can't. It was 7, then it was 14, I think. But if it's been 14 weeks, then you're allowed to list it as a new listing.
Yeah, except Property Log. I'd like to do a shout out to Property Log because they're always fantastic.
They deserve it.
That will tell you if that property has been on the market before and how much it was there for.
Yeah,
and you can see how many people.
Manually. They're doing it manually.
No.
Property by property.
No.
With Property Log and Best Agent are potentially going to.
Well, if you can, I think they're great,
There's an opportunity to connect up, and I think that would be very, very useful. Hey guys, what do you think? Should Property Log and Best Agent team up so that the Best Agent website by default has the Property Log price changes in there?
Jimmy Davis. I want an answer to that one.
Which one?
Jimmy Davis.
Hang on.
Charlie, if you reach 20,000 subscribers, can you agree to a live stream where you have to match Stig drink for drink and Stig chooses the drinks?
50,000 subscribers.
I think Anne-Marie would kill you.
We're less than 2,000 subscribers away from 20,000, so that could happen next month. And I don't want to have a February hospital admission.
You don't want a liver failure in February.
I don't know.
So it's Valentine's Day.
But listen, guys, there are certain incentives I'm going to be giving you as an audience to help me grow the channel faster this year, where I will be offering almost anything that's not illegal or unethical. Almost anything. I will do almost anything.
I know this man has remarkably libertarian standards.
Every single day I get feedback that I've been helping people, really helping people avoid nightmares and secure deals they didn't think that they could. And I love doing that. And then I want to spread that.
When you get hit hardest by your trolls being complete bastards, you will send me a text message with a screenshot of some really nice person who you've had a conversation with and they've just found their house and they've just moved in and they managed to get it 20% less, and you're going, oh, it makes it all worthwhile. And it's like, yeah, yes, mate. You have helped a lot of people.
And I would just, because I'm greedy, I just want to help more people. more. It's just nothing feels, to me anyway, nothing feels better than knowing you've made a real difference.
It's not really altruistic. It makes you feel good.
Listen, this is just me atoning with my privilege.
The bishop said to the actress. Yeah.
Andrew Lamb, can you ask us any question? Yes, you can ask us any question. Doesn't guarantee an answer. But yes, you can ask us questions. Okay, there's a few things need to be addressed here. Will Stig take offers for voiceover work?
Oh God, if somebody wants to offer me some voiceover work, I can read English, relatively high comprehension, very happy to do it. Anyone. Or I could offer a service where if you'd like me to break up with your partner for you over the phone, it doesn't really matter. Sack an employee, whatever is required.
Right, so we have Liam Jennings saying people are agreeing prices, but the bank are hugely undervaluing them. One just had agreed a sale at 380,000. Bank said 350,000. Correct, that's happening. Guess what? You don't hear agents and mortgage brokers telling you about that very much.
No,
because according to Halifax, house prices are rising. For fuck's sake!
Was it 1.7% or was it higher than that?
Well, do you know what? The point is, even if we were to assume that that's correct, Northern Ireland went up 4.1%. Southeast England went down nearly 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So whose house price went up 1.7%? Nobody's. Even if it wasn't a hedonically retarded index. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes, because we've discussed the indices and they're all, without exception, they're all shite.
You heard it here. Not from me, from him.
Yeah.
They're all shite. About 30% of builders in Croydon have no bookings from February onwards. Oh my God, that's awful. I am from this trade, so I know when I speak with fellow builders. Some do not want to comment due to prestige issue. I totally understand that. I'm not surprised to hear that, but I'm very, very sorry to hear that. Because that's, 30% of builders who up until now have been busy for years.
Well, for a long time.
Guys, when you hear things like this, ask yourself whether you really believe that the economy is not in recession. Never mind the technical definition, the real life version, right? It's not.
Is the average human in the UK's life getting better or worse? I would argue that ever since about 2005, 6 maybe, they've been getting worse.
Jimmy Davis says, what is MIRAS? Mortgage interest relief at source.
Basically, you don't get taxed. It's why endowment policies happen. So an endowment policy allowed you to take your entire mortgage as interest.
Don't know what an endowment policy was. But no, we don't need to go there. So basically, they take the mortgage interest element of your mortgage repayment and allow you to make that payment before your income tax is calculated on your salary.
Exactly.
So effectively, you pay the mortgage interest on untaxed earnings. That's what MIRAS was, and that's what Alex thinks is highly likely to be brought back.
I think it's the only. No, I don't think it's highly likely to be brought back. I think if a scheme is brought back, it will be a MIRAS style scheme.
Okay.
Because it doesn't cost the government. There's no expenditure. There's nobody who has to be backstopped.
It costs them slightly on HMRC.
It costs them on revenue.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost them in capital.
No, okay.
There's nothing paid out.
Amy M says, Help to Buy is thought to have priced out 10 times as many people
as it helped. Yeah, I believe you.
To get into more debt. Amy, I don't know if those figures are right. I haven't seen those figures, but that sounds absolutely spot on. And to anyone who doesn't understand the argument about the pros and cons for Help to Buy, there it is right there. And to the people who did use Help to Buy, I have had people contacting me saying, I bought 3 years ago with Help to Buy, and now I'm stuffed.
Yep.
So it doesn't even necessarily, it might help you to buy.
I've got a good friend who bought a long time ago on a shared ownership, 75% for them, 25% for the builder. And it's screwing them completely now. and we're talking over a decade. You need to. I just think of Callum Hutchinson.
Let me get there. Hang on a second. So Matthew Harrison says, "Can I ask your thoughts on inflation?" Now, this is interesting because I think we have different views on.
We do.
Is it going to continue to grow, or will there be deflation in the depression you're predicting? You go first.
Okay. There may be a very temporary spike because we got some weird, unusual global issues at the moment in terms of shipping. No. But it is, as I said a year and a half ago, when it goes, it will disappear into space. You will see that inflation now, according to Truflation, is probably down at about 2.9%, so even lower than the government. I'm just looking it up now. The government is saying, I mean, inflation, no. Depression and deflation difficult, but yeah, more likely than inflation, I think. 2.96% according to Truflation now, so a whole percentage point lower than the government are reporting, and down from 13% in a very short period of time. We are heading into a recession, I believe, which will become a depression unless there is some weird government intervention with money they don't have and can't afford. So I don't see how this resolves.
Okay. I think inflation is harder to predict right now where it goes from here than any time previously for a while, because of the multiple major uncertainties unfolding in the world. Both conflict that may or may not affect supply chain, fuel costs, but also the potential of stock market crashes or not.
Yeah.
And also the potential of AI, the deflationary effect of robots.
And yeah, I've been right so far. So I'll just...
No. Of course you've been right so far. But what you and I have always agreed on is that there are times when it's very easy to predict, and there are times when it's not easy to predict.
Correct.
I'm saying it's not easy to predict right now.
You are 100% right. It was easy to predict a year ago,
18 months ago,
that inflation was going to be coming down at some point over the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
Right now, it could go either way.
Yeah, that's my point. That's what I think.
You're right. I still believe it's going down.
Okay. Your key reason being?
In the same way that I said interest rates would not get above 6%.
Yeah.
And in fact, I always said 5 to 6%.
Yes,
and I
did.
kept saying that.
Yeah.
And everyone's going, no. First of all, it was too high. It'll never get to 5%. Then that's too low. It's going to get to 8%. I went, no, 5 to 6%. That was my calculation based on what the country could tolerate.
Okay.
But just like a rubber band, the rebound effect from that on the way back down, and yes, interest rates will be cut. They will. But I don't believe they'll be cut much below 3.5%, which is still for many people a massive increase in their mortgage. And I still believe that 3.75 to 4.25% is where interest rates in this country should settle if the inflation target is kept the same. But if that happens, if that is what occurs, then inflation, I'm afraid, is going to disappear, because there is no... Inflation suggests that there is money that can be spent, and there's going to be no fucking money. The quantitative tightening, slow as it is still slowly like a vice winding in. That QE money that was printed is being taken out of the market. The M2, as people in the know like to call it, will shrink. I can't see inflation. Patricia, who is back on your feet, by the way, and hello, Patricia. She has said deflation for 2 years now.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
No, I don't. And perhaps it's going to be both. Perhaps we're going to see inflation go back up and then plunge into deflation.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's not going to go up. It's not going to go up to where it was a year ago.
The number of variables has increased.
Yes.
And the predictability of each variable has decreased. The uncertainty has increased. The volatility has increased.
Yeah.
So we're heading to uncertain times, which is why I don't have a confident outlook on inflation either way. I think there are too many unpredictable scenarios that will affect the world
But as
economy.
we discussed 2 years ago now, how frightening is that?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter which way it goes. The outcome for the man or woman in the street who has an average job in an average company in the UK is still fucked. It doesn't matter whether inflation goes up and you find that you have a cost of living crisis and you can't afford anything, or inflation goes down and actually it's going down because we're in recession or depression and therefore you've lost your job. Either way, your life is not better. There is no current plan in this country for sustainable growth.
Correct. I agree. This is an important question. Richard Longmere says, Stig, if you go properly on the lash with Charlie, please don't leave him sitting in the gutter with his wife fronts on his head.
Saying wibble, I would never do that.
First of all, sorry, why the assumption that the wife fronts would be involved? That's been a very long time.
Because you are of a certain age.
No.
I quite like a pair of wife fronts now.
We're not going there. I wish I hadn't brought that up there. Guff Disregarded says, got offer accepted with the template letter. Woohoo!
Congratulations.
My first time buying off email template. I've had people going, it's too long and involved. Oh, what? Because buying a house is just a quick and easy thing, is it? Yeah, you just give me your offer and that's it.
It's like buying a jumper from M&S. You just rock up, buy the jumper.
I love hearing those opinions from people who clearly never actually bought a house. Slightly concerned I've offered too much though. Why did you offer that price then? I mean, the truth is that it's hard to know, isn't it?
Yes.
Before and after, it's very, very hard to know. The place was already sold subject to contract, so I think mine was higher, not just first-time buyer.
But does it matter if this is the house you want and you could afford it? It just to worry about whether you're X £1,000 out. So
that's the question, and the answer to that question is this: when you imagine completing at that price, are you still excited, or are you actually thinking that gives you a sinking feeling? If it gives you a sinking feeling, it's too high. But if you're still excited, then you can afford it, and you should go ahead and crack on with it. I love this. Sorry, I know this is going back from a few minutes, but Alexander Jones says, does that mean if you go with Halifax for evaluation, they'll value it higher? But crickets. That's a very nice one. Thank you. Urban Achiever says, how might the timing of the autumn election affect the housing market? I think you meant affect the housing market. But all I can tell you is this. Historically, elections tend to cause a slowdown in transactions because people go, oh, let's wait till they see what happens in the election.
Yeah.
And you'd ask them why, they go, well, don't really know why. Just think it's probably going to wait for the election. Because an election is a thing of uncertainty, and people don't like uncertainty when it's buying houses. So generally speaking, it slows down transactions.
Not just buying houses, but chief execs also look to elections. Do you remember before Blair got elected in 97? There were lots of big companies, all the big finance institutions, all the big consultancies. They were all behind Blair, but they held off. There was quite a dip in 97 in terms of investment and expenditure on big projects because people wanted to know what was going to happen. And I think the same may be true this year, in that people believe that, obviously the Conservatives are unelectable, but they're not sure what Starmer's policies are going to be. And so you're going to see more big companies and CEOs saying, do you know those projects? Just hold off. It's only 6-9 months. I mean, for us, it's peanuts. For you guys who have to pay a mortgage or rent every month, it's kind of important. But for us,
isn't it a shame that after a period of such, I've got that. I'm coming to that one. After a period of such unanimous agreement on the government's shocking performance, an election should be a thing to look forward to for everybody.
Yes.
And yet
they turned it into another thing of dread.
Is what Richard Tice is calling it.
Starmageddon.
It's not good.
You gotta love it.
Philip Lewis says, I saw Gary's Economics said that house prices will rise upon interest rate cuts. I did do quite a long post on X and on my YouTube. I did actual typed post on YouTube. In a nutshell, the two, I respect Gary a lot, and I like his approach, and he's very much a successful economist when he's talking about everything, but except for the housing market, because the housing market does not behave like other asset classes. And to my knowledge, Gary doesn't have direct involvement and experience in the housing market. He is, like I was, a futures trader going back in the day. I'm actually older than him, so it's before then. But the two specific points in his video, if you watched it, that I don't agree with are, number one, he's accepting the house price indices at face value. The house prices haven't come down very much. And that is his first mistaken assumption or belief. The second one is that the rich people are going to buy all the houses. When he refers to rich people, he's talking about the ultra rich, not the wealthy middle class that are currently being downgraded in their wealth, because he talks about in his video about the middle classes being impoverished. He's talking about the likes of Rishi Sunak, people with hundreds of millions of pounds. If you've got that kind of money, those sorts of rich people want to go in and out of readily liquidizable assets. Property is not that. Property is a high maintenance, high hassle asset. And in many ways, it's a high risk asset. So if you're just an ultra rich person, what you don't want is hassle.
Yeah.
So there are so many other asset classes you can go in and out of with the tap of a button on your phone.
Yeah.
You can't do that with property. And for that reason, the ultra rich do not like to come along. And there frankly aren't enough of them to affect the entire market. That's my view. So I think he's wrong on those 2 points, unfortunately. But I do deeply respect Gary and his mission and his views, and generally on most things economics. But on the housing market, I don't agree with him. Is it going to be hard to get a mortgage if prices crash 50% in London and there is a recession? It's going to be harder to get a mortgage because there'll be much that their criteria, their acceptance criteria will be harder.
Yes, they will only want the absolute diamond members.
Do council tax rises feed into inflation figures? I'm looking at a 10% rise. Yeah, they would. Council tax rises feed into inflation? Why wouldn't they?
I haven't seen it as a subset.
Don't know is the answer to that one. Jay Groft on YouTube says, given the low transaction volumes, are some estate agents at risk of going under? Areas I watch, some agents are doing one sale per month on average. Yes, it is an extremely difficult time for estate agents. The ones who continue to pursue a policy of overvaluing to own business will be the ones to go under soonest, I hope. But also because overvaluing is the cancer that kills the housing market.
Yeah.
But they're the ones who are going to be doing the fewest transactions. So some estate agents are at risk of going under. They're already consolidating some of them. So yeah. How long do you think it'll be before AI starts to cull civil service caseworkers with massive layoffs?
Not long
3
at all.
or 4 years?
Less
than 3 or 4 years.
Well, you've always said, oh well, these civil they're safe jobs. And I said for 2 years they are in the firing line. If they can be replaced by ChatGPT, and have you looked at the modern influencer AIs? Have you looked? I'll show you after this conversation. We can't show them here because it'll take too long to set up. But you're looking at these girls who have
I've seen those.
Yeah, they don't exist.
No, I know.
No. Well, why can't I have a council worker answering my question who doesn't exist?
That has a huge.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Here's the question. Andrew Lamb. Sorry, it's taken a while to get to, but Alex, as per your previous comments, are adult work profiles up or down? You stated previously this shows the current state of the economy.
Okay.
Adult work and also, of course, Class A narcotics.
Well, I can't say that. I have no experience of narcotics or usage. Adult work, no usage, but I do track it as an index. The answer is this. It's interesting. it's interesting because the number of
He really has
workers.
fucking tracked it.
Yeah, no, I have, mate. The number of workers has not changed. There's not been a great increase in people going, I think I'll be doing that for a living. So that is a positive. However, on the negative, they are still charging the same rate that they charged 2 years ago.
He only knows this from his research. Yeah.
I do only know from
Yeah. He's looking up the index. There's an index for this apparently.
It's 130 to 150 pounds an hour. But it was 130 to 150 pounds an hour 2 years ago. So they have not inflation adjusted, much as the government goes on about how everyone's got a 7% to 10% pay rise. These people have not. Not only have they not received pay rise, but the interesting fact is that they are now offering more services for the same money.
Oh, so it's not shrinkflation then? It's not getting less for the same amount of money?
I know something is definitely stretching in this scenario. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. You got me when I was drinking.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh, dear.
Right, so back to the real world now. But for those of you who are new to the channel and wonder what the fuck just happened, in one of the previous evening sessions like this, Alex and I discussed exactly how much sex workers and drugs contributed to GDP because they are listed in GDP. So, joking aside, sex workers and illegal drugs, the government counts illegal drug purchases as part of GDP. So
it's 5% of our GDP. 5% of 2.4 trillion.
Sorry, wait, no, stop, wait.
Is sex workers and drugs. Yes. Oh yeah.
5%.
No, Sergey, I tell you, dirty money. I like the dirty money. Nazdroya.
5% of GDP.
Yeah,
sex workers.
We love it. I tell you, the Brits, very repressed nation.
Oh my god. Nikki Knight says shipping rates have ramped up. May increase inflation as much comes from China. Yes, that's true. If that doesn't settle down, that could affect things, and it could actually impact supply chains again.
Yeah.
So not just the prices, but actually
absolutely.
Supply of stuff. Oh, we've already answered that one. Okay, so okay. Oh dear. So I'm out of questions now. Who in your Yachik D answers? Who, in your opinion, are good UK politicians and why?
There are none.
Well, I only have, oddly enough,
not Farage.
Nope. The first politician that came to mind when I read that question was Angela Rayner, because she doesn't take any shit. No, she's an honest to God, smokes her fags outside Parliament, doesn't take anyone's shit, and you know what? I would trust her to get more done than Keir Starmer.
Oh God!
I
yes.
would not want to cross that woman if she was Prime Minister. You would be fucking fired faster than you knew what happened to you. And that's what you've got to have in politics. And you've got to have in government strong leadership, because you've got to say to everyone, I know you're all a bunch of self-serving, ladder climbing, greasy pole, everything else. Yeah. But right now, the people of the country fucking need us. So you're on a team now. The team's got a job to do. You're a team player. You're going to have a certain amount of time next year when you can all start competing with each other for the cabinet reshuffle. But until then, heads down, do your fucking job, stop fucking around. Anyone that breaks the rules, you're out. And that's what it needs, not some fucking apologist in every leading role that we've got.
But I think you would agree that if you were to compare Rayner with, I don't know, Churchill.
Guys, sorry, I'm not saying, I'm not speaking about Angela Rayner's policies or intelligence or anything else. I'm talking about her the qualities that you need in a leader are someone who doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks and is committed to whatever their cause might be. And I'm saying this, as a country, we would be better off with any politician of any persuasion if they could actually get anything fucking done.
What you're saying is we'd be better off, as I've said, since we had this argument at school 41 years ago, the best government would be a dictatorship.
Yeah, honestly, it wouldn't be any worse than what we've got now.
A benign dictatorship. It's a shame they all go fucking nuts.
Because the technocracy we might be getting might be just that.
AI. Dun, dun, dun.
I don't love Angela. I think that I like her.
You love Angela.
Patricia calls her dumb. I mean, she might be, but the point is, when it comes to whipping a group of wayward,
Yeah, she's dumb but forceful.
Yeah, this is the point. You don't. It's not about someone's. The metaphor I use is this: if you are on a ship, on a big ship,
there is only one captain.
Imagine you're on a ship, right? You're on a ship, and the ship is being tossed around in the storm, and is likely to hit the rocks, and you're likely to all sink and die. And there's a choice of two captains. One of them is really honourable and really intelligent and really well known and really likable and really transparent and comes across well, but can't sail a fucking ship. Or the other, drinking, smoking, philandering, lying
I love
bastard.
That one. Pick that one.
Right? But who can sail your ship out of danger and save everybody. Oh, what are you all going to do? You're going to go, no, we don't like their character. We have to go for the leader.
I will sail your ship. I have no problem. You go for it. You've got a good one here, though. This is perfect for you, given how passionate you were about it.
Harry Dance.
Yes, go for it.
Do you think Fujitsu should compensate the sub postmasters and not the taxpayer? Yes.
He was very passionate.
I'm not going to start on that
earlier.
because if you start me on that whole story, I'm going to lose my shit in a way that I wish I didn't on video. So I'm just going to answer your question. Yes. But hang on. So there's a caveat here. As far as I am aware, Fujitsu became aware of the fault in the software, informed the post office, and after the post office management had been informed of these flaws, the post office management continued to prosecute these sub postmasters and send them down even though they knew they were innocent. And for that reason, the post office should actually foot the bill, not the tax. There's no reason why the taxpayer should foot the bill other than in this exceptional circumstance. And by the way, it is already being accepted as the gravest travesty of justice in British history. For that reason, those people all deserve compensation from wherever it may come. And in a way, it is a failure of the justice system and it's a failure of the state. So honestly, I have no problem with the taxpayer paying the compensation out for those poor people who got so fucked over. But heads should fucking roll at the post office for that.
Oh, yes.
It's
honestly, when you say heads should roll, there should actually be prison sentences.
Yeah.
If it is true, if it's proven that these people knew that the software was faulty whilst they allowed postmasters to go to jail.
I don't understand how anyone could do that as their job and not immediately kill themselves.
Well, because unlike the Japanese, we don't have a history of throwing ourselves on our swords. Sorry, can I just answer? I didn't catch your name, but you're saying I'm overestimating the ability of ChatGPT. No, I'm not. I think ChatGPT in its current entity is shite. It is totally inaccurate. You can get it to give you the wrong information all the time. I do it just for fun. What I am not overestimating is the ability of stupid CEOs to think that they are going to save money by replacing an actual human who may have a slow thought process, but has a thought process with a bot which is more verbally adept and yet totally wrong. And I've seen it done. I have seen people in the UK replaced by people in call centers around the world who were far less able, but they cost much less. And cost is king. Customer, not so much. So please don't misunderstand me. I am not hailing ChatGPT as the be all and end all, nor is it AI. It is machine learning. There is no AI. So.
Right. So yeah, I agree with Alex that there is no AI. I will also share, especially because I know that we have a significant proportion of investors amongst the audience on this channel, which I don't understand why, but there we are. I don't know how many of you saw the video of the new Tesla Optimus 2. And you need to have paid attention. You will not know this unless you are looking for it. But as far as AI is concerned, there are two things. First of all, Tesla's own AI for its self-driving and its Optimus robot. Plus, I don't know how many of you are aware of something called Grok. Have you heard of Grok?
Uh-huh.
Right. And if you can be asked to go and do your homework, you will find out that the machine learning, and by that I genuinely mean exponentially increasing levels of intelligence amongst...
Intelligence is a difficult word.
But do you know what I'm referring to? Problem-solving ability.
Yes.
Okay. At Tesla, amongst the Optimus, the Tesla AI is so much faster, and the rate of progress is so much further ahead than any other AI out there.
Yep.
And Tesla's AI and Grok are not connected, other than the fact they're owned by the same guy, run by the same guy. Grok, G-R-O-K, is Elon Musk's new AI startup, which is just being made available through Twitter. I'm on the early list. I haven't yet been given access to it.
Oh, okay.
ChatGPT's, what do you call the library that they use to learn from? The data set, right? Is not real time. It's not up to...
No, it's up to 20.
Grok's AI is
live.
real time of what's happening on X.
Yeah.
Now, there are how many million Tesla cars on the road now? I think it's approaching their 5 millionth car. This year, 2023, their 5 millionth car. Every single one of those is contributing data to Tesla's AI learning.
Yeah.
And of course, the more you've got, the faster it happens. So, as far as AI is concerned,
4.97 million to date.
Yeah.
So they will hit 5 million.
Well,
do you remember the SETI project? You know, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Yeah.
Well, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they said, can you do us a favor with your screensaver? If you download the app, because everyone had to have a screensaver then, because you had CRT screens, they got burnt out.
Yeah.
When you run it, if you're running there, we'll use your processor cycles, because we know you're not using your computer, to help us search for extraterrestrial life. It was the first instance of massive parallel computing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tesla are doing the same thing with their cars. They've got all 5 million, but unlike our computers that would only work whilst they were in screensaver mode, this is 24/7 of processing. And this is why, if you look at a human baby, you've got 3, and of various ages. You've got one little one at the moment, Daphne, and you can watch her learning day by day. You can see her progress.
Mm-hmm.
If you had disappeared for 6 months and come back, you go, oh my God, how did you learn all of these things? But computers are not like that. You make them parallel and you plug in enough nodes, they don't learn in 6 months. They don't learn in 6 days. They don't learn in 6 hours. They can assimilate enough data in 6 seconds that human lifetimes are immaterial. But this is the problem. And this is why and I apologize for it, but this is why I have an issue with using the word intelligence.
Yeah.
There is no intelligence. There is just a data set that is so vast that I think I've got a relatively good memory, but in comparison,
but the ability to interpret the data, the ability to draw,
they have no ability to interpret beyond what has been given to them as parameters.
No, but the Tesla bots, the Tesla robots,
I've seen
are starting to solve new problems without being
coded. But they cannot make a lateral or exponential leap. They can in terms of their ability with the problem that they understand. They don't understand the problem. With the problem that they have cracked, and this is the thing, there is no understanding.
No, there isn't an understanding. I completely agree with that. But for those of you who are investors, about 2 years ago, when Elon Musk did an interview in the factory, and was the first time he spoke about the Tesla bot, the robot, the humanoid robot on camera, he made a throwaway line in which he said, these robots are going to make the cars look like nothing.
Oh yes, because when they're
Nobody
building,
picked up on that point.
when they're
Very
building
few.
your houses,
Yeah.
when they're working the fields, when
Yeah.
they're picking the fruit, when they're working in every factory.
Right. This is the point. So they're talking about they're going to retail for somewhere between $25,000 and $40,000.
Well, that's a one-off cost. How
One-off
much
cost.
maintenance a year?
They will work 16 hours a day at a cost of $2 an hour.
Hey.
Deflationary.
Yep. Oh God, yes, massive.
Massively deflationary.
Well, this is how you get
thing,
to a
right?
post-scarcity society.
Yeah.
This is how we end up in E&M Banks's The Culture,
Yeah.
where humans don't have to work because all of their needs are provided for by machines.
Alistair on YouTube asks, how do we stop CBDCs? The risks
You
are
don't.
enormous. That'll be a dictatorship. We'll be at the mercy. Okay, my first answer to that is we're already at the mercy.
Mercy, yeah.
We are already at the mercy, I think. How do we stop CBDCs?
You can't. And people
You
say,
can't.
keep using cash. Keep using cash. Use cash. Yeah, by all
That's
means.
another
And yet, every time I go into a new shop in Putney, around London, oh yeah, no, we don't accept cash anymore. We don't accept cash. You can tap, but we don't accept cash.
No, I'm not positioned in Tesla stock.
You were. You bet.
I was.
I bet you wish you still were.
No, that's how I paid for my plane.
I know.
My kids have got some Tesla stock.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Question. There's a question about mortgages. I can't answer that. Is it true that Tesla cars have a fart noise button? Not only is it true, but my children prank me with it relentlessly. Where I get in the car, they're already in it, and I come to the junction, I put the indicator on, and as I indicate, it goes. Yes, there is a fart, and you can select a whole range of different fart noises. It's true. It's been there from the beginning. Okay, guys, I think it's time to start wrapping this up, bringing this to an end. It's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Alex, thank you very much.
Well, I'm drinking wine. I always enjoy it.
It's been fun.
Tasniavaga Kfivomaga.
Andis, he's just done it again. We're gonna have to go out again.
Andis, thank you very much.
Thank you
mate.
very, very much.
And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. Yes.
What's happened? Because you were thinking about buying and you had this whole sort of deal. Have you bought somewhere? Are you still looking? What? I hope life is treating you well.
Timothy Wilson asks, how do we pick a one-to-one session? Go to my website, mhwc.co.uk, and you'll see a button there. There's a choice of a 30-minute or a 60-minute session. mhwc.co.uk.
Patricia, thank you. Lovely to see you here.
Max Crooks. Charlie, do you own your own house? If not, any reason why? So, just because I know I get this question quite often, I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm not talking about my personal circumstances. And my personal life has a whole number of reasons to do with all kinds of things that have nothing to do with the channel. So I don't answer questions on my personal circumstances. Okay? Just to save you all answering if you're watching this and wondering, I don't answer those. If you pay attention and you watch my personal YouTube channel, you can figure all of that yourself anyway.
It's not
I don't
hard.
try and keep it a secret, but I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about the market and movers and that kind of stuff. I'm not here to talk about me, okay? Otherwise, guys, thank you very, very much.
Have you seen Norlis? All the breast, everyone.
All the breast. All the breast.
150 pounds.
Have you seen that hilarious... What? 100? What?
Sorry, I was back to adult.
Oh, I see. Yes, okay. What was I going to say? I was going to finish up with something. There was an old Chuck Norris meme where Chuck Norris is standing talking to some other big beefy guy, and he goes, "How many push-ups can you do?" And Chuck Norris goes, "All of them." Anyway, guys, on that happy note, sorry, and thank you for coming. And a reminder that this year I'm focusing. Oh, that's something I wanted to talk to you about, and I forgot all about it.
What?
The Bosch P.
The Bosch P?
The Bosch P.
What the fuck?
The best agent open source house price index.
Oh, that's catchy, man. The Bosch P is definitely the way to go with that.
He needs a hashtag. I'm still working on the hashtag. Oh fuck! Alex is falling off his chair. The best open source house price index, which is the exchange prices, the act. Stop fucking laughing so much. This is serious.
It's definitely, it's a Polish word. It means a yak that has pissed itself in the garden. You've got to come up with a better.
The best agent open source house price index. Okay, open source house price index is staying.
You know, I think that
Bosch
the
P.
index is a fucking fantastic idea. And if you can get the agents, the conveyancers, the people to contribute, and if you can do that in an automatic way, it will be absolutely the only reasonable, realistic index on the market. I get that.
So here's the.
But don't call it the fucking Bosch P.
Don't call it the fucking Bosch P. So I'm going to be setting you guys a target, set my audience a target. When we're ready to launch this, which is not going to be long. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm hoping it's going to be days until we can start this. Okay, the target is this: we are in a race against the land registry. All we have to do is get more exchange prices reported in 1 month than the land registry gets in its month.
Sorry, did you just say you were in the race against the land registry?
Yes.
I'm going to be so...
Should be easy to do.
You're probably going to have to turn me off now, because racing the land registry is like racing a quadriplegic with no wheelchair who's drunk a bottle of vodka and is lying in a pit of quicksand. The land registry is possibly the slowest thing on earth.
What I meant,
and I thought that was my erectile function, but no. Actually, the land registry takes even longer to get ready than me.
Okay. What I mean is, I don't mean a race speed-wise. I mean a race to get more.
I get that.
Because as far as I'm concerned, guys, if we can get more exchange prices reported in 1 month than the land registry's sample size in its most recent month,
then you've won. You won.
We've already won. And do you know what is that? 9,000, and we've won.
Less for most now. We're somewhere between
300
5 and
a day.
8,000. Yeah,
300. Now, that's just sales. We're going to be doing lettings as well. I want to have a rental price index. And the rental price isn't as time sensitive as exchange prices, because it's what are you paying now for your rent?
Exactly.
What are you currently paying for your rent?
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing a new open source house price index, which is open source at both ends. As in, we receive the exchange price and the rent price information from source.
Yeah.
We also publish the full raw data set every
everyone.
month to everyone and anyone,
Yeah, cool.
so that they can query it. They can hedonically regress it if they want.
If they're totally nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
But make it totally transparent, including when we finally link up each individual one with the land registry when it finally catches up and reports the completion price. We will report on the error rate.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect.
So that we have a transparently known error rate as well.
You're actually going to be basically snitching on the land registry, because believe me, their error rate is very high. As who's that great guy who's been doing the monthly stats, the land registry? It's just a statistician on X. Also a
Build
runner.
place.
No. Come on.
Oh yes, sorry. Yeah, I know the guy. Yeah, he went and did all the number crunching. Yeah,
and he's done it every month for about the last 4 months, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he does it by region, so you can see and breaks it down by property type. He will tell you, because we've had this conversation offline, that the land registry data is just so fucking dirty.
Yeah,
there are so many errors where people have added zeros. You know, you've got a house that is obviously worth 200,000 that's on the market for 2 million according to the land registry, or sold for 2 million, and it's so obvious from what you can see from the previous prices. We know it's bad, and I think you're going to show up the land registry as being horrendous.
Yeah.
Well, but they deserve it. How are they only producing?
I think the problem is that nobody working in the land registries has the job of fixing that problem.
No.
Every individual's got their individual job, and it's not my job to fix the problem.
I found
and there's
400 duplicates in 8,000 records. 400 duplicates in 8,000 records.
Sorry, they just simply duplicated the same property twice.
Same property.
5% is duplicates.
No, that was 1 month. It's 1 month. But what I'm saying is, it's that
in that month.
poor. In that month.
Is that the data set that the ONS used?
Correct. In that month. It's so poor. It pains me, and this is why I've given up.
If you paid someone for that data, would you fire them?
I'd kick them in the crutch, fire them, and ask for my money back.
Yeah. Okay, guys, can we actually stop now? Please can we stop now? Please make it stop.
Oh, do you not want me to talk about the whole quicksand again? Don't worry. If you missed it, there was actually a poor quadriplegic drowning.
I'm going. Okay, bye, guys. Before that happens,